It seems that the Russian High Military Command has decided not to give a break to Moscow's enemies. While the Ukrainian General Staff and its NATO military advisors were trying to come to their senses from the shock of yesterday's missile attack on the hotel in the northeastern part of Chernihiv, which resulted in the destruction of almost all the leadership of the operational command of the armed forces of Ukraine under the designation SEVER, along with the General Dmitry Krasilnikov, the Russian combat aviation and missile forces launched another massive missile strike on Ukraine. So, it became known that on the night of April 18, 2024, Russia launched a series of massive missile strikes on the Kharkiv, Kiev, Khmelnytsky, and Ivano-Frankivsk regions. It is reported that in cities and villages of these regions, dozens of explosions were heard throughout the night on the territory of all strategically important military facilities. In addition, witnesses also reported numerous fires that broke out on the territories of military facilities of the armed forces of Ukraine and strategically important energy facilities of Ukraine immediately after the start of the air alert. Surprisingly, even though the Kiev regime is still threatening Ukrainian citizens with imprisonment for shooting and posting videos online, where the results of Russian missile attacks are clearly visible, the number of such videos on the network continues to grow rapidly. Against the background of the weakening of the Ukrainian air defense, Russian missiles and kamikaze drones have increasingly begun to reach their targets. And it is this fact that forces the propaganda of the Kiev regime to impose strict control over any information about Russian massive missile strikes on the territory of Ukraine. Against this background, independent military experts and analysts receive reliable information about the results of Russian missile attacks mainly through closed channels as well as from sources in the Russian military department. So, today, the coordinator of the Nikolaev Underground, Sergei Lebedev, spoke in detail about the results of the Russian massive missile strike on the territory of Ukraine, which occurred on the night of April 18, 2024. According to him, in the Kharkiv region, Russian ballistic and cruise missiles hit and destroyed two weapons storage sites, where the Vampire multiple launch rocket systems were stored. In the Kiev region, in the city of Vyshgorod, Russian kamikaze drones, along with ballistic missiles, hit a pumped storage power plant that equalized the load in the power grid, which allowed some parts of the Ukrainian capital to receive electricity even during emergency shutdowns. In the Khmelnytsky region, Russian missiles once again struck the military airfield in the city of Starokostiantynov. Let me remind you that Ukrainian and NATO generals are trying to prepare this military airfield to accommodate American F-16 fighter jets. However, constant Russian missile strikes on this military airfield disrupt the plans of the NATO generals to send Western fighter jets to Ukraine. In the Ivano-Frankivsk region, in the city of Kolomia, Russian cruise and ballistic missiles hit a local military airfield, where NATO high-ranking officers were training Ukrainian military pilots. Unfortunately, as of April 18, 2024, there is still no accurate data on the number of victims and destroyed objects on the territory of this military airfield. Meanwhile, it is worth noting that most of the explosions were recorded in the city of Ivano-Frankivsk. As it turned out, in the northern part of this city, Russian missiles destroyed an armory, where recently arrived 155mm Western shells were stored. Moreover, the detonation of these Western shells is still ongoing, as a result of which the city authorities were forced to evacuate citizens from nearby residential areas. On the same day, within 2 hours of each other, 2 Russian Kh-101 cruise missiles, along with one Iskander-M ballistic missile, also hit a local dormitory building in the center of Ivano-Frankivsk. As it turned out, the destroyed building was the place of the location of the personnel of Polish and French mercenaries, who entered the territory of western Ukraine in early April this year. These mercenaries were stationed in this building together with the militants of the Kiev regime. Unfortunately, sources have not yet reported the exact number of casualties among Polish and French mercenaries. However, according to local residents, the security service of Ukraine cordoned off not only the place where the Russian missiles hit, but also the entire quarter. According to them, about 40 ambulances and hundreds of rescuers have arrived at the scene. This most likely indicates that all Polish and French mercenaries, along with the militants of the Kiev regime, were completely destroyed.